So this is a styrofoam drawing I started on an earlier day that I worked on. As I also worked on the 99th Dan Hamming episode, doing some final edits to get the window to change as little as possible. I personally think that what I ultimately settled on as being as close as possible was something that I had much earlier along in the project, but ultimately it ended up working, and this was for the scene in which Michael kicked in the window to set off the store alarms and get help for the Uber driver. And then I added in a new custom prop. So that those advertisements on the shop window don't just disappear. Or don't seem to just disappear. Now it looks like Michael sends him into the shop along with some of the glass from that window. Around 5 p.m., right before Dad got home from work today, this whole apartment complex lost power due to the high winds. The warning said that it would last until 11 p.m. The time between 5 and 7 p.m. was spent with Dad lighting up some candles that he had bought and saved for an occasion like the blackout that occurred. I got to chat with my dad, and then when he for a time fell asleep on the couch, I stared at the 3-pack candles, a 3-pack of candles that all came together and were lit separately. They were pretty small in size, and only maybe lasted about 45 minutes in total. So, not that long. I, in particular, at one point woke my dad up to warn him about one of the 3-pack of the candles kind of running out of wax, and by that point another one had gone out entirely, the one that was behind the other two. As I stared at the candles, I would try to breathe in through my nose and breathe out through my mouth, as I had heard from YouTube videos. Around 7 p.m., Dad and I decided to go to Salvatore's since we had nothing better to do, due to the electricity being out. There, Dad used his rewards points to get a large pizza with sausage and pepperoni on it. And this is some of the leftovers, which I microwaved for a minute. Tonight happened to be Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC pay-per-view night, so we ended up staying until roughly 10 p.m. In order to watch first the heavyweight bout, then I think there was a bantamweight fight, and then a featherweight bout, of which the heavyweight fight ended in a knockout. Very early into the second round. The UFC bouts consist of 3 rounds of 5 minutes. If both fighters make it through all 3 rounds, then it's up to the judges to decide who won. Obviously, whoever gets a knockout or a TKO, I don't think the technical term for it is triple knockout. I think the technical term for that is technical knockout. But I think of it as triple knockout because I think for UFC that's when you get knocked down 3 times, either 3 times within the same round or 3 times at all. I'm not sure which, but I'm currently leaning towards 3 times in the same round, sort of thing. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I can craft some relics. The first drink I had at Salvatore's was a specialty cocktail they call the Grinch. And then for the second cocktail, if you can call it a cocktail at that point, it was actually a pina colada slushy with both chocolate and grenadine. I was asked if I wanted chocolate or grenadine, and since I had pleasant experience with both of those things, I said, essentially, why not both? And so I ended up with both of those things in the pina colada that a female bartender made using a blender. And she put some leftover into, I believe, a plastic cup and gave it to my dad. Uh, 10 p.m. was around the time excuse me, the featherweight fight was over, so there were more fights in the lineup, but Dad didn't want to stay for those because, again, by 10 p.m., the featherweight bout being over, he was feeling tired. In a way, the blackout was a pretty relaxing experience, combined with listening to the high winds outside, while I was earlier meditating by staring at some of the lit candles and again breathing in through my nose and breathing out through my mouth. Shortly after Dad got home, we shared a small little bag of, or maybe it's a medium-sized bag, I'm not sure what the dividing line between a small bag and a medium bag of kettle popcorn is. At least I have a tendency to assume any popcorn that tastes sweet is kettle popcorn, since it tasted sweet. It was light yellow in color, and I think I ate a majority of that bag of popcorn, but Dad still got a good amount of it. Yeah, I only took popcorn when it was silently offered by pointing the bag towards me. After that, because the fridge didn't work without electricity, me and Dad each had a medium-sized container of mac salad from, I believe, Rubino's, which I think, from what I've been told, is some kind of Italian meat deli. And both of those events were most likely before 6 p.m. And I think we got the pizza around 7:30 to 8 p.m. So it helps to explain why I felt pretty full after, I think it was 4 of those square cut pieces of pizza. Maybe 5. But it's either 4 or 5. Either way, it was some pretty good pizza. On at least the pieces I had at Salvatore's initially, Dad put on pepper and grated Parmesan cheese. That was offered at the bar area at Salvatore's in the form of condiment shakers. And I sat at the very right corner of the bar. Basically, the most right you can sit at the bar. Without sitting on a side, so to speak. Although, at some points, on other flat screens, right next to the flat screens that were showcasing the pay-per-view UFC bouts, those other flat screens were also showcasing live hockey games, at times it seemed like Dad was paying more attention to those hockey games than to the UFC fights, and there was one point in which I struggled to pay attention between, I think it was the bantamweight bout and a hockey game in which it went into the overtime shootout phase, in which presumably one player from a team tries to score a goal by themselves past the goalie from the other team. And this is done in total for each team. Each team gets 3 chances to do this, and whoever succeeds more times out of those 3 times wins. As of now, I'm not able to remember which teams played exactly. Though I recall one team being white and red and the other blue and yellow. And I'm currently assuming that the white and red team was the Rochester Amherst, since I have a hunch that the color red is involved within the Rochester Amherst team. Along those lines. I went to some hockey games years ago, but that was years ago, so I'm currently not familiar with what team has the blue and yellow uniforms.